Welcome to this very, very special episode. This is an Expansive Insider sneak peek of my incredible conversation with the wonder from Down Under, Kesenya Moore. We named this thing Your World as a Mirror, and it goes super deep, guys. It's absolutely incredible. So this is the first half. For this and much more, check the show notes for the Expansive Insider link, and that's how you support the show. Sign up, get this and more. Check the new t-shirts, Lizard Turd and Thought Ninja. Enjoy the show.
Was affecting you energetically? Did you notice anything?
First one sucked ass. First one was really rough. That was an indicator that things were about to get really awesome, is how I like to say that.
Well, that's what they say, always darkest before the dawn.
Yes, ma'am.
So yes.
Yes, ma'am. And so this last one, though, on the 8th, the Blood Moon, that was awesome. Yeah. Absolutely awesome.
Did you go and have a look at it?
I didn't, no.
That's not a bad thing. My jury is out about that. About
didn't people used to
eclipses?
hide from eclipses and a king would take over? You told me this. They would have a stand-in king and then kill him after. Yeah.
They did. And it wasn't considered auspicious to view an eclipse. But whether they were acting on superstition or whether there was something energetic about that, I can't really say. This was ancient Babylon where they used to do this. And of course, in ancient Babylon, they had all these activities like, looking at entrails and making divination forecast from, entrails and things like that. So we don't really do that these days, funnily enough. So I wonder if it was perhaps just a suspicion thing, but there's part of me that's like, I don't know, as above, so below, and, maybe there's something in it. So for me, it wasn't a big deal about not seeing it because we had cloud cover, so I couldn't see it anyway, even if I'd wanted to.
Yeah.
Actually, it's interesting because that sort of thing, the weather in your part of the world when a significant event like that occurs will also, in ancient Babylon, it also tied into their forecasting. Oh, well, there was cloud over the eclipse, so we couldn't see it. So that means that the effects are going to be muted or something like that. And I'm not saying that's what their forecast was. I'm just pulling that one off the top of my head. But they used the conditions in your part of the world and the visibility and all that sort of thing to determine their forecasting. Was there a light breeze? Was there a heavy wind? Was there dew on the ground? Was there, and they looked at all that stuff. So it was pretty full on their the length of, or the depth of their interpretation. But I'm just looking at your chart now. And so it was at 16 degrees. Okay. So
last time we talked, I think you said it wasn't going to be bad. Like it was going to be fine because the first one was rough, which I told you about, and that was rough. I released a lot, and that was great. Yeah. I needed it, obviously.
Yeah. But, this one is fine.
That was great. Yeah. I feel wonderful.
Good.
So it's interesting. Are you feeling that as well? It's kind of just chill. This one's just chill?
Yeah, a lot more. It was really manic, the first one, and it was so interesting for me. It was it's kind of odd, actually, from an astrological point of view, how it affected me. I got just a casual job at a boutique just because I need to get out and connect with people. And it was squaring my sun. And the sun for me, or for everybody, the sun has connections to career, but it also, for me, is in the 6th house of daily work and what you do to pay the bills. So it was funny that there was this difficult angle to my sun that occurred, but it brought a blessing, I got a job, I felt compelled to apply for a job and I got it practically the next day. So that was really nice. Or I hope it will be nice. We'll see how we go. You should give me some tips. I've never done anything in sales before, apart from stuff on my website.
I'll tell you, sales is so easy. These people have all these like hacks and tricks, and I know all those too. I just don't implement them. Sales is, for me, and this is why I was so successful at a salesman. What you see here is what would show up and say, "Hey, are you interested in checking this thing out?" And that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not pushy. I'm not I'm not salacious on the show, so I didn't also do this in sales. Like I've been basically the same person for a really long time. Like just hey, how you doing? Like just be you, Kesenya.
Authentic.
Yeah. How you can think about this too is there was a poll done, or I saw a video talking about a poll that was allegedly done that stated it was about content creators, and it said, it asked the audience, it said, hey, if we were to take the host away and post the exact same content, would you still watch this? And 90% said no. And the reason is because it's you're what they're into, and the fact that you're into something makes you way more appealing because you're passionate about that thing. And so it comes from like a cool place that's so attractive because it's so you. And what I think that we're moving into right now is this age of authenticity, this like desire for people just to see people being people. This is why TikTok is so damn successful. It's because it's just people being people and being them authentic, their authentic selves rather. And so this is really what I feel about this time shift and all of these waves or whatever. But how it affects you lately has been what's been so interesting.
You were saying about people being attracted to your energy, and that's why they watch, a YouTube channel or an Insta or TikTok or something.
Same with
and
sales.
It's so true. When I started, I don't know if you caught this before, cut out, but when I started doing a YouTube astrology, I was like, well, why would anyone want to watch me when every other astrologer is talking about the same energetic influences that are happening each week, because we're all interpreting the same thing. And I was like, oh, this is, why would I do this? And then I was like, no, because I know myself, I'm attracted to certain people online to watch and to tap into their energy and their knowledge and what have you. And some people I'm not attracted to watching, and yet they've got huge followings, but I haven't got any time for them at all. They're not my type of resonance or energy. And so I thought, well, that's it. There's more than enough for everybody out there, and not everybody's going to like what I've got, to present or how I present, but there's going to be plenty of people who do. So I might as well put myself out there and what I've got to say about astrology each week for them, and not worry about the people who are not attracted to my energy, So I love what you're saying there. There is, it has always been in the back of my mind. There's more than enough for everybody to have a share of the pie, so to speak.
That's the biggest psyop. Scarcity in my mind is the biggest psyop. That the fact that there's not enough for everybody, bullshit. There's so much here. There's so much here. There's so much love here, and that trumps all, right? And so, the scarcity one's like the oldest psyop to me. That's like the oldest thing. Yeah,
absolutely, it is. Yeah. And don't they love to push it as well? This sort of poverty, you've got to strive, you've got to step all over everybody else because, scramble, scramble, scramble. But I hate that. I really hate that approach to life because it's not happiness. It's not joy. It's not fulfilling. It's not uplifting for anyone. It's actually creating more of this fear and energy on the planet that's just so detrimental.
You've nailed it. That's why it exists, is because I really have looked at this, this energy. Every time I look at this energetically, as a place of energy, then it always funnels back to that point. Like you can kind of go, oh, okay, maybe, and kind of get lost in the narrative, but it's like, and energy. And so when I started looking at it, this like attention versus, just decision type of a thing, then like your attention's your currency here. So it's not your money, it's your attention. So that's like the real thing. It's just disguised in money and sex and all this other stuff, whatever. All it is like your minutes and moments and energy and expression of interest and curiosity. That's what they're after, or that's what the experience is there to facilitate your desire for. And so whatever you desire energetically is what manifests in your life, or what repeats, right? Or what's a mirror to you. I think, it's just kind of the way I've been looking at it. And so if you look at it this way, then you say, okay, well, whenever I change or whatever, then that's when the expression changes outside of me. And that's when that narrative stops mirroring back to me. Audiences do this as well. So I'm so grateful that you pointed that out, because your audience is just a mirror to you, right? Like I'm a mirror to you, but they're a mirror to your curiosities, your fascinations, all the cool things, and, your childlike sense of wonder, but they're also a mirror to the shadow side of you that needs healing. All of those little parts of you that need healing is the dude that puts the shitty comment that, it's like, all right,
always,
man,
I was going to say there's always one, but there's more than one, unfortunately.
Honestly, I don't have that big of an issue. Maybe it's because, the videos aren't in getting the plays that yours are right now, and I'm fine with that. It's scaling at its own progression. I've got no attachment to what it does. It could go to 0 tomorrow and I'd still put the show out, is what I'm saying. So anyway, but you have a law of averages, right? And I've gotten a couple of unfortunate things. People express themselves in ways that I was just like, it was unnecessary. A conversation would be cool. cool. You know what I mean? And so that's still, though, a mirror to you, right? In this idea. And so that's what's attracted to you is parts of you that need to be healed. And I've got such a specific example of this. It's crazy. And they just keep coming. So it's an interesting thing to watch the world change.
Give me a specific example.
Well,
you can't leave it hanging there.
Oh, I was sure I talked about this. I've talked about it a lot, but probably not in a while at least. Okay, so so I had a guy on the show named Peter Champoux. His last name is spelled Champous. Okay, and yeah, thanks. Right, and he's a sweetheart of a guy. No, he's amazing, like a sweetheart of a guy, but it's pronounced shampoo, and I'm just like, okay, you know what I mean? And it wasn't really covered in the pre-interview thing or whatever. So on the interview, I said his name, I pronounced it Champoux or something like that. I got added an R that wasn't even supposed to be in there and stuff, just because of like the row phonetic, the ROUX, usually because I'm right next door to Louisiana, is like a French thing, like a roux, kind of a thing. And I don't know, I just peppered that in, and you're like, it's a different thing when you're doing this. Like, people think that you're just on the phone with a friend. It's like, no, man, I've got notes, there's a flow going. I've got levels and shit that I'm watching. I want to make sure there's a lot to be subconsciously mindful in this that just takes practice of being very mindful of it to get it to where you could still focus on what you're doing and still do it. So there's a lot that goes into this. That just the unhealed parts of yourself. People don't realize,
do they?
Yeah, the unhealed parts of yourself on the internet don't realize, and so they comment about it, right? And I don't mind educating along the way with patience and love and grace and compassion, all that good shit. Anyway,
so wonderful.
Peter Champoux, will it be the change, right? Peter Champoux came on. I mispronounced his name a few times in the comment. And now here's another thing about me: I don't delete comments. Like, go nuts, because another reason is because I do look at it as another version of me that is unhealed or looking for attention or wasn't heard enough or couldn't be expressed. So who am I to go through and delete a comment when they're obviously reaching out for some sort of attention or something? Now, what I'm doing is I'm giving them the place to do it. I'm not going to delete your damn comment. So do whatever you want. Now, I've put that out on the air so people could go fill in whatever the hell they want on that. Now, if enough of them come in, that bumps the algorithm, and it's funny to them because now y'all have just made me go viral because you hated the shit, and that's fine. But what's interesting about it is I really look at it like I'm not going to take away this person's voice. Because I don't necessarily care for it, right? Even it's my platform and I have control over it, and I don't disagree with that, right? But nobody spewed any absolute like hate or anything where I've had to really look at that as a benchmark and say, okay, there's a boundary, right? That obviously I have. If somebody's like just being ridiculous and any of the things that are very clear, but not things I find uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Just because they're personal or egoic, right? His comment was something about, and again, it's still up here. It's on YouTube. Do you want to find it? Actually, let's just see if we can find it here while we're here.
Yeah. I was going to say, while you're looking for it, that is just so gracious of you to have that perspective on it. I mean, my perspective as a YouTuber I've always prayed every morning that the people who can receive my energy will be attracted to me or find me, because I want the people who value what I've got to give. Yes. I'm not interested in attracting people who just want to hate on me or people who are anti-astrology who want to have their little rant or whatever. So I don't pray or meditate on the idea of just, I want 20,000 subscribers, or I want, to be, the next Joe Rogan or anything. And that's not what I'm all about. What I'm about is bringing in the people who can be blessed by what I've got to give.
Exactly.
So, I probably have a bit of a different approach, and I don't think either is right or wrong. I love the graciousness of how you're approaching your channel that way. But for me, I'm a Pisces rising. I'm overly sensitive about everything.
Got you.
I don't know, Leo sun, maybe my ego gets involved too, but I can't. If somebody is, like they're religious and they're anti-astrology, I'm going to delete that comment because I value my community. I want to protect my community from vigilantes and I want to protect my own energy and keep my YouTube space for people who are there for the authenticity of the experience. Like, they want my energy. And so that's why they're there. And anyone who's not, well, why did you need to comment? Why leave your hate? I don't want an energy of hate on my channel. So take your hate somewhere else, Yeah, that's my perspective on it. It's nowhere near as gracious as yours,
No,
but it's probably coming from my overly sensitive Pisces rising. And I think both are valid because, and this is where I get excited about astrology, because you're wired the way you are to express your energy in the world the way you do. And that is A-okay and fine and beautiful and gracious. And I, because of my astro wiring, I'm wired to go, I can't handle this. And you know what, Brandon? Sorry, I've gone off on a tangent.
No,
but
please.
What I get really excited about when I see that I have put boundaries in place is Pisces people are not very good at putting boundaries in place, and they let others walk all over them and, you know, beat the shit out of them their whole life long. And so for me to have gone, not taking it, not going to have that hate on my channel, that's me doing a really good thing as a Pisces rising person by putting a boundary in place where usually we're not very good at that sort of thing. So yeah, we're all wired differently, and there is a reason for that. And again, like we were saying, we're all putting our energy out there for people in its different formats. Whoever feels a resonance with that will come to us, and whoever doesn't can, you know, go wherever they do find the resonance. Sorry, I shouldn't say sorry, I know, but I've gone off on a tangent, and you were looking up this comment on YouTube to finish your story.
I've got it. It's there. It's no problem. I like, this is what I like about these conversations. It's flow. Like, I've got no like, okay, well, now I'm ready to talk about my thing. No, I like this because it's so organic, and what you said there was perfect. It makes a lot of sense, and the only way that I see it differently is I didn't see scaling this up, which is where it's going. I mean, it's inevitable. Scaled up to the empire I see it being, it's unmanageable. You know what I mean? So to me, it wasn't worth the trade-off and investment in time that I have to sit there. Like, I'd much rather be producing dope shit than managing people who just, you know, need to express in that way. Now, what's interesting about this, and I'll say this about the comments as well. You'll get, you know, a bunch of great ones, right? But you'll also have people in those comments that are going to jump on that guy, or better yet, what my comment section does, and this was unbeknownst, this is a telepathic thing I have with the audience. I did not say this or anything. They'll leave it. Nobody likes it because we all go in and like each other's stuff, and we like the engagement and all that. There's some things, Bible verses and stuff, that are pretty interesting that get a little preachy to me, and that's fine. Like, go for it. People who advertise mushrooms or something like that, I'm like, no, you know, like advertise like OnlyFans and stuff. You know, no. But what's interesting about it is they won't give it any attention, which is my desire, right? And so what you do is that how I view this, mentally how I view this is, you know, you're in a room and this is your comment section on a video, for instance. And then we do this how many times a year, you know, release these opportunities for these spaces to be created for people to talk about it. How I view somebody like that is walking into a room and just going like, you all fucking suck. And everybody just kind of, just going, huh. Now, you in the room, of course, you always have the opportunity, because we have individualistic expression here, that in free will or whatever, allegedly, that you've always got the option of people being like, hey, man, fuck you, you know, and then maybe something breaking out, right? And those energies were there. What I like about it is my room just doesn't even look over. It doesn't acknowledge it. There's no likes, there's no dislikes, there's no people talking shit, there's no somebody dogging him, there's no like standing up for me, because I don't invite the need to be stood up for. You know what I mean? Like, I got this. Let me just do it. So you guys got this. But it's like, again, all of that was articulated just in my observation of it. I didn't ask anybody to do that. They just did it. So, but what you said, like I said, I don't disagree with that. It's desirable. What I don't think it is for me is manageable. So I just don't take it on. I don't commit energy to that comment section. I put a video out, and don't even think about it. I'm like, cool, that's out now. Like, great. What's next? You know, I move on, and getting held back in a comment section, which I get so few shit comments, like so fucking few, that I'm so grateful for this. Like, it's unreasonably few, which is awesome. Like, I have no complaints whatsoever, but it's because of the position I have on it, I think, is because it doesn't affect me, I don't attract it. It's just not there.
And you're not giving it any energy or time.
No, and it'll sit there. What you wanted to say, young man, is right there, and it'll be there forever. And it'll be there blended into all of the praise and all the people who saw it for what I would have rather you have seen it at. But you chose to use this as an opportunity to point out something you found very necessary that's actually something maybe that you're mindful of about yourself, and that you just put out there. And maybe you phrase it in a way that's not attractive to a populace, but perhaps you don't know how to phrase it any better. Or maybe you're frustrated. Maybe you had a bad day. Maybe you hadn't gotten banged in a while. You know what I mean? Like, you never know what people are going through.
Well, I'm not putting bad comments on people's page. Surely they can manage to contain themselves.
Oh my God, that's great. So, or whatever, I don't know. Maybe they're, they lost a toy car in their butt and they are too embarrassed to go to the hospital to get it out. It's just been in there for a couple of days. The condom's like they're kind of like questioning if it's going to fail and then if they're going to have some issues. So you don't know, okay, is what I'm trying to say. But you don't know. So, okay, here is the comment right here. And let's just do this. I'm going to share screen and we're just going to do this. But again, that's just the way that I feel about it. And really, I committed as much, honestly, talking to you about this now is as much as I've thought about it. I just said, you know what, here's how I'd like to approach that. And that's how I feel about it. And then I moved on, right? Again, it's like, yes, we released that episode and we're out. And so, hang on one second.
I love that, actually. That's handling. I mean, this is a spiritual teaching, isn't it? To handle things lightly, and not get to be more detached and not so embedded. That's a very egoic thing to be embedded into. Oh, they don't like my stuff and that kind of thing. So
right, and it's it says more. Really, it's just I see it as a trap, kind of like what you were saying earlier. It's like all the things. It's like it's a whirlpool, and the event horizon of it, as you're going down the river, you have these whirlpools. The river of life is a metaphor, whatever. You have these whirlpools that, they look very appealing. They'll get your attention, and then all of a sudden, where you're looking is where your boat steers. Is a good way to kind of think about your attention. So if you don't want to go that direction, don't pay it more than a glance, because then you could still correct course real quick. But if you're staring at something that's very loud and very turbulent and very whatever, now your boat is in it, and now you're stuck in it because you don't know. And it's tricky to get out. Of course, it's not impossible. And once you get to a point at the bottom, like in a river, it'll go bloop and pop you back out. And now you're back on the river and going. And you're like, what the fuck was that? And, the whirlpools appear as different things down the line. They're not whirlpools, that's how they behave, but they're not like viewed that way, right? They're shape-shifting opportunities and options and whatever. And none of it's wrong. It's just that's what that experience offers. You know what I mean? So like to look at it like that has just fucking changed everything to me. Again, it's this funnel of like attention, and all of it comes down to you. And it's just the way that you see the world. Okay. So again, here's how you spell his name, by the way. Can you see my screen? Okay, so Peter Champoux, amazing dude, by the way. I love this man. He wrote a book, a couple of them actually. The guy in Matrix, this handsome silver fox right here, and he talks about geomancy and all sorts of stuff. So I called him Champoux maybe twice. Okay, the wrong name. I did say it once right, I think. I don't know. Okay, here's the thing in question. I didn't mean to put the name up there. I'm not doing this to call this gentleman out, but. As we're talking about it here, anybody listening and watching could have pulled this up on their own because it's there. This was back 10 months ago, by the way. So you could see right here, there she is. And nobody's liked it. Nobody's disliked it either. So here we go. Okay, so Peter Slavin thought, I think pronouncing a guest name incorrectly over and over large... What? Oh, what'd you say? I just missed what you said.
Oh, I just groaned because
it's okay. It's okay. I'll show you why it's okay in a minute because you're only catching the first part. This is also why I brought this up. This is one of the coolest examples of like mirror to yourself. Number two, and before I continue on with the thing, I knew I mispronounced the dude's name wrong, okay, incorrectly. Now, I didn't discover this until the edit process, and then I was like, oh my God, you fucking guy. And I was really hard on myself, and I felt very bad about it, because you've been a guest, you're a guest now. My biggest thing is making the guest feel like it's the best damn experience they've ever had and want to come back on, because then the audience will love it, you and I get into it. So I'm very guest forward. I want the guest to be king and queen and roll.
You're brilliant at that.
Thank you. Well, it's on purpose, and because I love y'all. I'm like, dude, you're spending your time to talk to me, and you're amazing. So of course I want to make Anyhow, so I was already really in my head about it, and this is right when the mirror concept of the universe got introduced to me about 10 months ago, like that the universe is a mirror to you, just reflecting back to you, right? And so I was already kind of like, how's that work, and conceptualizing it and all that. And so it was already on the mind. Not only that, when I released the episode, I sent Peter Champoux the links and stuff like that, because I just do that. Hey, thanks for coming on. Here's the links. Here's the image if you'd like to repost, whatever. And in there I said, dude, I apologize. I mispronounced your name wrong a few times. And I just sincerely wanted to say I did not do it out of malice. I was very apologetic. I was just in the moment, excited to talk to you. All of these things, right? Just poured my heart out. Send. He thanked me in this amazing email. He said, don't worry about it. He goes, my name is spelt weird and is not really phonetic in the English language. So this is also why I kind of, there's no excuse for pronouncing a guest name wrong, right? But the other thing, to be fair, by the way, I'd listen to other interviewers interview this guy. All of them pronounce it differently. So I had no real context, okay? So, and I was very mindful of this because I'm like, how the fuck? Again, and I was so mindful of it because, a person's name, that's them, right? I mean, I pranked you with this whenever you and I got on our first chat, and that's a fun story we can tell everybody in a minute. But this is something that really I was very mindful of, okay? Is their person's name, their identity in this reality, whatever. Okay, so here we go. So I was already mindful. I sent him an email. He sent one back saying, dude, don't worry about it. Wonderful time. My name's hard to pronounce in English anyway. All of it should have been water under the bridge. And then episode released, right? Now, I want to say day that came out. He writes this. I think pronouncing a guest name incorrectly over and over largely negates the laid-on thick flattery. You do an author no favors if listeners are not knowing his name. Okay. You do an author no favors if listeners are left not knowing his name. It's not as if it's difficult for an American to pronounce correctly. Just say shampoo. Now, does this shampoo word? I get that that's how it's pronounced, but I was not getting that from this. Okay, and that's the only defense I will get on myself, and the only time I feel like, okay, yes, absolutely. And it said you'll be close enough. So shampoo. So shampoo isn't even correct. I'll be close enough if I say it that way. And shampoo actually says it himself near the beginning of the interview. And yes, the man did comment on it again in the moment, for someone to pick up out of a conversation. It's like Monday morning quarterbacking. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So Monday morning quarterbacking has to do with the idea that these guys sit around on Sunday, okay, and watch football, right? And then when their, non-athletic body is sitting there yelling at the TV about what the player should have done, right? Okay, well, that's Monday morning quarterback. And that quarterback should have just thrown him a M30, like 30 yards down the line. You just button hook real quick, man. He had this guy running back in the back. And yes, you can see it from a vantage point. That man couldn't. You weren't under the same conditions that man was. You didn't just play an entire game and this last thing and the pressure. And again, you don't know if that dude had a toy car in his butt that he was too embarrassed to go see the hospital about playing that game.
Or he hadn't been laid in a while.
Or he hadn't been laid in a while. You don't know. And so again, this is kind of this idea of like catching that the author, that yes, Peter Champoux did say it at the beginning of the interview, but I didn't catch it and then therefore repeated exactly like he said it throughout the interview was the point he was making, okay? So I have, thought a lot about this. And what's so interesting about this is that all the, wonderful comments that everybody had, amazing interview, an incredible guy. He sent me his books. He's a sweetheart of a dude. I've got to get him back on. He's a fascinating researcher. You would love him. Geomancy. It's about like ley lines and stuff like that. So out of all of that, and then this, so I thought a lot about it. I've gotten 0 comments like it since, and it was so specific, which is what really keyed this up in my own mind. Like it needed to be this specific for the universe to go, hey, pay attention to this now because this is a real thing. The mechanism, right? The mirror to you. It's something I thought about. I emailed the guy about it. He'd already said, don't worry about it. And then the episode came out. But even after the episode was released, I'm sitting here thinking people are listening to me mispronounce this author's name. And it was on my mind. And then I get the comment. That's the reason it happened. I don't think it happened because this individual was really pissed off about it. I think it happened because I was thinking about it and created it because it was the only thing on my mind. Okay. So now.
So then how does that explain his rudeness? Because you and I are both Librans, and I can say, like, to me, this comment is not just addressing the, oh, hey, dude, you mispronounced his name wrong. It should have been shampoo, just letting you know. It wasn't polite, friendly, supportive like that. It was a full-on attack. And that line there that says overly largely negates the laid on thick flattery. I mean, that has nothing to do with pronunciation, and it's an attack, a personal attack against you. So I'm sure like you would not have generated that energy coming out But this dude chose to go really low vibrational with that. And to me, that's shit. I wouldn't tolerate it.
I know, darling. And I feel this. I love your mama, lioness, goddess, warrior goddess energy, because I feel this and you care for me and I appreciate this. And, I understand where you're coming from with this. And so this is why when I talked about it, I was phrasing it to say that this is the way this person feels. Like it's maybe got nothing to do with me. Maybe he just heard it. It was like, oh, and all those other podcasts were late that day, and he was stuck listening to mine or something. I don't know. You don't know, right? And so, but the way that I received it it wasn't about what was said. It was about the thing as a whole. It's as if like, think of them like colored boxes, right? If just two colors, awesome and not favorable, okay? Like I didn't take this as an attack. It's just not preferable, okay? This is just the way this man feels, and that's fine. I have no ego in this. That's fine. If this is the way you interpret the way that I do things, then I need to take this as seriously as I do the brilliant comment and the, all these other very interesting people. What a fascinating, we'll definitely be checking out Mr. Champoux' work. Very interesting guest. Amazing comment that it goes further on the material. I loved how casual the discussion was with him. Very easy listening, very held back. So these are like the color blue or something. This one's red. And that's how I take it. It's like positive. Okay, maybe not so good. Maybe something that I have in me that I need to pay attention to that's manifesting in my reality is exactly how I took it. And so therefore I'm not angry at this person. I'm not committing any energy to feeling like, even to the point where I'd prefer that he didn't do it. No, I prefer people speak out and speak their voices. And if this is how this how it manifests with him, then that's fine. It got no attention, meaning that if you would like a conversation, I'd love to have one. Or if you want some positive interaction, we can do that. But it's got to come at a certain energy level. And this did not do that. And obviously it did that because no one engaged in it. You got no attention. And honestly, if there is like these troll people out there, the only thing they want is attention, right? And so it's just like a independent loosh farm. And so they just want the attention. So if you just don't like it, don't negate it, what they also want is for you to fight with them and banter, because it's like builds this thing and, oh, I love it. And they're like, in their back room while you're like, jerking off, something like that, while you're getting all pissed off, fingers fierce. Oh, look what I made her. Oh, look, I made her commit some of her energy into getting back at me and banning me and all of this. So now that person has entered a piece of your attention that you get, right? It all comes back to that. And they were able to pull your attention. The biggest shot to anybody literally aiming to do that is to give them none of it. Not in response to negativity. Leave the damn comment there and talk about it on a show, something like that, is how I've looked at it. That's just what's gotten it. I have no maliciousness towards this expression of our highest self and the way that this man chose to express himself. And this is it. Now, I felt this way before the next thing that I'm going to show you, because there's still more. Did you want to say anything else on this? And
I'm fascinated. Continue.
I can't thank you enough on your kindness, though, because I get this idea of like, you want to protect, right? And we don't want to see the ones we love hurt. But I can say this, and this will make you feel better. This did not hurt me. This was an eye-opener for me as something that was something I chose to experience as something I could pay attention to and adjust, and I've since pivoted it. So this is how I looked at it. So the reason, what I want to say, and this is to you, the audience, everybody, because I love you so much for being so sweet about it. The reason we act that way is because we don't want to see the person we love hurt. This did not hurt me. So don't feel free to commit no more energy or attention to it in a negative light. Okay. Now this is, that was episode 98. Okay. Episode 112. Okay. We're just 14 episodes ahead here. Now, this is with Stewart Pearce, The Alchemy of Voice. And on this episode, do you know who Stewart Pearce is? He's amazing. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
Oh, he's awesome. He's the master of voice. Here, let me play a little bit, see if he's talking and I'm not talking. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, check this dude out. Can you hear this?
No.
The way that I feel when I'm in the United States.
Oh, can you hear that?
I just happen to be recording.
Yes.
Okay. I just figured something out about my board. Okay. Listen to this fucking guy's voice.
But the nature of the density, I've discovered myself in producing the book, because it was rejected by the establishment and vilified by the British press.
He sounds like an announcer on the BBC.
Oh, isn't he great? He's he's called the master of voice. Because he taught Shakespeare. He hung out with Princess Diana the last 2 years of her life. He was good friends with her or whatever, wrote a best-selling book about her. really cool guy. He's a lot of fun, but he's like theater guy, and he has this just incredible fucking voice. Anyway, in this episode, I discussed this comment, okay? And this was 14 episodes later, all right? We had talked about it, and I talked about this idea of mirroring to you, being a mirror to you. And I had just learned recently, or had an example pop up that kind of reaffirmed it, or just made me think about it a little bit more. So again, beautiful comments, almost 1,000 views. Everybody's so sweet about it. Authentic, beautiful conversation. This guy, wow, listen to the podcast, had to come home and see the words come out of him. How awesome. Like, wonderful things, right? They love the guest.
That's a beautiful comment, isn't it?
I know. They love the guest. How awesome. Would have commented on your Twitter, but you haven't posted this episode yet. And I'm not good. Brandy, thank you for pointing that out. I love her. Okay. Another dimension of empowerment exposed and offered by the two gentlemen who live with their radiance of all to see, hear, and learn from. Thank you, Master Stewart. You will never cease to amaze me, Mr. Thomas. You ask brilliant, thought-provoking questions. What a brilliant dialogue.
I love that. And you do ask brilliant, thought-provoking questions too. You're a fabulous interviewer.
Thank you. It's curiosity. But thank you so much for saying that. But all these wonderful things. But
on that topic, just really briefly, curiosity is one of the key components. There are, I can't remember how many there are. There might be 4 or something for high vibrational people to be curious about others and about life and about. So
I could see that.
Sorry, you were gonna.
No, I could see that because being curious has afforded me the most high vibrational life because it allows me to have conversations without judgment. That's why the show is so successful. I have no fucking ego in this. Like, let's talk about your story. Let's do it. Okay, so. After the comment we talked about over here, Mr. Peter Slavin, we come over to episode 112, discussed it in this. Look who pops back up 14 episodes later. Now, one thing I do want to point out on this man's a listener, okay? He's interacted, I think, once or twice. I honestly, I don't monitor comments. So really, a lot of those Stewart Pearce comments I was reading for the first time with you, I don't read them. I just don't. It's not on my mind for both sides. Like, I'm grateful that exists, right? It's love, and I love it. But I don't pay it attention and the other not attention. I just don't pay any of it attention, right? It's as a whole not a priority for me. I put the episode out and move on to the next thing. Okay. So he writes here 14 episodes later, meaning that he didn't just stop listening after the Peter Champoux incident with this, go off, hate it. He stuck around, heard a few more amazing guests, and was able to sit, enjoy this interview as well. Peter Slavin writes 9 months later, so a month after, by the way. Lovely interview with a very beautiful soul. I am writing to apologize from the bottom of my heart for the meaningless comment. For the meanness, my apologies. Meanness of my comment about the pronunciation of Peter Champoux's name. Its harshness was a product of my own despair and self-doubt. And the comment did not reflect my larger opinion of this podcast and the host's efforts, which I regard as, in many ways, the best in the space. So I'm very glad that in my poison was transmuted into a tonic, which is just another sign of the remarkability, even uniquely wonderful qualities the host brings.
That's magnificent, isn't it? Wow. And that, again, that's graciousness on behalf of the commenter here. Not many people would be humble enough to say, hey, I'm sorry, and this is where I was at. That's actually truly beautiful. What a great story. It is. That's amazing, and I think it says a lot about your listeners, actually. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I noticed that one's got 4 likes. So, a lot of people appreciating that comment too. So
in this, yes, actually, I did not notice that before. So look at this, the comment before, 0 likes whatsoever. Nobody engaged whatsoever. This one, the one where this was admitted, this vulnerability, this moment, 4 likes, like you said. And I even replied to it. I said, you know what? You've absolutely rocked my world with both of your comments in the most amazing way. I firstly thank you for this. You didn't need to write this, and I know how challenging this must have been, but I'm so proud of you and more grateful than you will ever know, more grateful than I will ever be able to articulate. You have gifted me twice now, brother, and I really mean that. Thank you again for being so amazing, my friend. You know you have a home and a voice here anytime you want it. There you go.
That is fantastic. Look, I think it's Deepak Chopra who teaches that, we have the choice to be offended or to be flattered. And it's actually our response is owned by us. It's not somebody else's fault for making a comment in a certain way. We have the power to be how we energetically respond to a statement. And I think, that's kudos to you, Brandon, for being at such a high vibrational level to recognize that I have the choice to be offended by this or not. That's actually a very inspiring story. Really.
That's what I hope it is. It's law of one. If it's out here, then you can have it too. And really what it was it's just a half second, honestly. I would say is the longest I took to really think about it. It was like a half second of like, this man doesn't maybe get listened to in the circles. Maybe he just has something to say. Maybe, his mom kept telling him we don't know any of this situation, any of it. But I'd like to think that people aren't coming at things from not a place of hurt, if it's something like that first comment. And that hurt, rather than malice, hurt will manifest as malice, right? And it's all boiled down to fear, right, at a level. And so that, in my mind, I look at it then as something that you have the opportunity to take the easy or the route, the obvious route is what I would say. But to me, it's not easy. It was easiest for me to do this. So honestly, this is the laziest way to go about this, to be honest with you. Because what were my main motivations? Because it was too much energy and effort to weed through all the comments, right? I would prefer to dedicate that to something more that serves me more, is just how I'll put it.
Do you know what's beautiful about this? And this is, I think, sort of the premise or the platform that Brené Brown is sort of spruiking her work on, is the power of being vulnerable.
Yes.
And this guy has made himself vulnerable by, or humbly saying, hey, I'm really sorry I was in a dark place. And that is actually tremendously powerful for him to do that. And it's been tremendously empowering for you too. And it comes back to what we were talking about perhaps before this interview began, about your desire for authenticity and how being authentic is really important to you moving forward, because that's being authentic. We've been raised to try and put on a perfect facade and a perfect image, and I've got it all together, and life's happening for me, and social media has just exacerbated that out of control as well. Like, I'm so with it and so together. But it is so beautiful when someone can be honest about where they're at and vulnerable about where they're at. That is a truly attractive energy. Like that comment that Peter wrote there, his apology, is a really attractive comment. Energetically, that's got so much beauty in it.
Yes.
So much beauty in it.
I love that you pointed this out, because now I love that you pointed this out. Reading the first, you just get a feeling. You get this, like, not pity, but you get this sense of like that man just needs somebody to say it's okay. You're going to be okay. It's going to work out. Just somebody to listen to him, a place just to vent. And, by deleting it and getting angry and then pummeling him, it may exacerbate the thing, and maybe the dude ends up killing his family or something. That's the last straw. You don't know. You don't fucking know. And so really at its core, it was just like, the only thing it hurt for half a second was my ego. And the only reason it did that was because it was already on my mind. And so therefore, I'm really, it was giving me the opportunity to look at it like I created that. I manifested that. And then though, to see it on that interview, 14 episodes later, was just like, wow, it was in the same path. I manifested that too, because I wish when something like that happens, like somebody cuts me off in traffic, whatever, I don't get pissed off. I wish them consciousness. When something happens with my mother-in-law, I don't get pissed off and roll my eyes. I just wish her consciousness. I really do view people in their highest timelines. And so Peter, whenever he wrote that first one, I was like, man, I wish you consciousness. Even though there wasn't a thumbs up next to it, there was energy sent to the energy that was left on this page. And that's an interesting thing, because you can take that and alchemize it. And 14 episodes later, it reemerges in a cycle, clean and different and new and fresh and authentic and beautiful.
And so you did give him consciousness. Like, he became aware, hang on, I was out of line there. So,
and then he came at it with different energy, and look at the response, the likes.
Greater consciousness.
And I hope people hear this and just go find his episode. It's on episode 112 is the comment 90. In fact, I'll link them both in the show notes. I'll just link both of these episodes so you can find it directly. I'm not going to screenshot that shit or anything for now. This may be like a TED Talk later. I don't know. I think it'd be a good TED Talk, you know? And then even better, he like stands up and I give him a car or something. I don't know. Maybe a jetpack.
Go Oprah.
Yeah, maybe a jetpack. He can fly in with a jetpack and be like, yeah, all right, see you.
Awesome.
I would love it.
I love this topic of authenticity though. And I just like next year, astrologically, Pluto is going to move into the sign of Aquarius for the first time since the French Revolution, basically, and the American Revolution. And I might have talked about this with you on other episodes, but
when is it?
I think March is the first hit. So it's going to take 2 years to move into Aquarius.
That's okay. We got time.
And sorry?
We got time. That's okay.
Yeah, we do. But I'm curious because you and I are both curious people, but I'm looking forward to it as well because Aquarius as an energy is a fascinating energy in astrology, but it is very tied to uniqueness and authenticity. It's co-ruled by 2 planets, Uranus and Saturn. Uranus is the modern ruler, and Uranus is all about authenticity. It will not tolerate lack of authenticity. So if you're in a relationship and you're pretending everything's fine, you're putting on this mask that, hey, I'm, really, really good in this relationship, and you get a Uranus transit, Uranus is going to rip that mask off and say, well, come on, you've got to be authentic here. It's shit. It's very tied to authenticity. And the fact that Pluto is moving into Aquarius, Pluto empowers whatever it touches. It also exposes whatever it touches as well and exposes the darkness there. So I think we've lived in a society full of Kardashians and full of false facades for so long that have been so damaging to people being able to be truly authentic and real. I think that whole stuff is going to be ripped away when Pluto moves into Aquarius, the sign connected so strongly to authenticity and being real. So I'm excited, and I think this is because we're coming up to this, I think this topic is a beautiful lead-in to what's going to be unfolding more and more in humanity, more of this sort of, let's just get real. Let's stop pretending that, everything's fine when everything sucks, and I'm going to apologize when I'm nasty and mean, because we all have a shadow side and we can all do that from time to time. I'm really looking forward to Pluto in Aquarius from that perspective, actually.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you're saying this, because this is what I feel it is. And this is, you can see it in what's being expressed in the public opinion. Like I said, with TikTok, that's billions of people that are successful and, stars getting on that thing to vie for the attention, to grab some of the attention that's on there. And it's so fascinating to me that the most real people, their hair all fucked up, no makeup, like shit all in the back, and they have the biggest followings, and they're doing great because they're real. They're them. People crying on camera, people being real, just sharing themselves. And I used to look at it as oversharing, and so I don't participate in it as now. And I know this is like a death sentence for you're a public whatever, and you're supposed to put shit out all the time. I don't. Maybe it's something that I'll find fun. It's just not something I find fun right now. And so it's not something I want to do. And so therefore I don't do it. I don't care if we're doing just fine. The show's doing fine. I don't need to boost numbers and shit. I'm so grateful we're not at that point. And that it never really mattered to me anyway. I'm just like, I just do this for me. I happen to record it and put it out for people. That's really how I feel about this. So I have no attachment to it. But it seems that this authenticity that you're talking about, McKenna was ahead of. It's in the intro for the show, and it's something that I've been really paying a lot of attention to, because you can just see it. You can see that the bullshit's the bullshit. I've been over the bullshit for a long fucking time. I knew I was into real things when I didn't like fake boobs. Like, I think natural boobs, no matter what size, no matter what you got going, I don't want them fake. Big doesn't matter. I'd rather have real, whatever that manifests as. Absolutely beautiful.
I'm sure there are a lot of women listening who will love hearing you say that, because honestly, it's just, who cares? You don't love somebody for the size of their boobs or their dick or whatever, that's not why you're there.
Yeah. Thank you, Kesenya Moore, for hanging out with me for that incredibly cool conversation. This and more are over at expandingrealitypodcast.com, guys. Sign up to become an Expansive Insider. Link in the show notes, and that's how you get access to this full conversation and so much more. Also, check the link down there for the merch store. We have new shirts. Check out the Thought Ninja, waching, waching, and check out the Lizard Turd t-shirt, guys. Those are a lot of fun. So sign up to become an Expansive Insider. Thank you for your support, and we love the shit out of y'all. We'll see you soon. Y'all be good to one another.
David's Bridal, where brides and bridesmaids get fabulously dressed. We let our friends pick out what we wear, show off our dance moves, obsess over every little detail, hold your hand through it all, smile bravely when it's time to let go. Make your dreams come true. The things we do for love. Only at David's Bridal.